Welcome to Leaders Talk, PAPO the Leaders. Today I'll be talking about crisis. It's inevitable. We all had crises in our life, and how I normally approach them. And I will tell the story about my first big crisis in the corporate world. I will not be entering personal crisis, but for sure they help us to grow as well. But one thing that I learned in professional crises in places that I lived, that we had hurricanes like in the Caribbean, earthquake like here in Costa Rica, and war in my last job in Azerbaijan, between Azerbaijan and Armenia in the Caucasus. But one thing I learned with all these crises, that we had always the decision in our hands. The decision might be right, wrong, you will see it later. But one thing that I learned is it's in our hands to take the decision. In the end of this video, I will tell my 3 rules how to approach the crisis after learning through those crises that I lived. Okay? Come with me. So, talking about crisis normally tends to lead us to grow. And you see that happening for people, with companies, and even with countries. Take the example of Japan, for example. After the war, they became a superpower. How they could do that? Because they faced the crisis. Normally, when you have a crisis, you are forced to leave your comfort zone. And guess what? Success is out there. It's not in your comfort zone. So when you leave the comfort zone, you expand whenever you become comfortable again. So you are increasing your comfort zone, but you are acquiring new skills, new abilities. And another thing is like what I'm doing today. The first time I'm recording a video in the night. It's the first time that I have not shaved, and I'm very relaxed and standing, as some friend had requested to do it in a different position as well. So I'm not so comfortable, but for sure after this video, I will learn more. So if I could give you one advice is don't be afraid of leaving your comfort zone. It's out there that the magic happens. But I want to tell the first big crisis that I needed to face, what I learned from that. And then in the end, as I mentioned, I will give the 3 tips or 3 advices. But as Friedrich Nietzsche has always said, or I learned is, what does not kill me for sure makes me stronger. And I do believe in that. You always learn in any crisis that you face. The first crisis that I had here was in Costa Rica 10 years ago. I had a boss that asked me to move from direct distribution of our company here to third party. And I needed to fire around 100 employees. We're talking about 100 families. I couldn't sleep for almost 1 month. And I was talking to everybody. I had my elder son living with me here. My mother-in-law was here. I used to talk a lot with her about different topics. Everybody noticed how stressed and how worried I was because of their families. But one day I decided to go to the church nearby here to talk with the priest. And I was surprised with what he said to me. I was expecting that, hold on, keep, resist, help others, 100 families. And he said, he didn't know my name, but he said to me, don't worry, don't resist. There are bad things that come for the good. And I said, well, I was never expecting that from a priest, but that relieved me a little bit. I came back home, and I remember that I had a little book that a very good secretary, PA, personal assistant, gave to me 6-7 years before that date, 2004, 2005. Marilene Pontes is a great person, one of the best secretary PAs that I have ever had. And she gave this book to me, Minutes of Wisdom. And that night I opened and I left this page marked here. And again, it's more or less reinforcing what the priest had mentioned. Not everything that bothers us or makes us suffer is forcibly an evil. When the brothers of Joseph or Joe sold him, what appeared to be a bad thing became a great thing because it gave him the opportunity to become the governor of Egypt. So believe in God or any force in anything that you believe. Try to extract the good in any evil or anything that appears to be evil to you. Don't desperate and believe and go ahead. So I woke up the other day much better, and I decided to have a meeting with all the employees that would be impacted. And came to my mind an idea to tell, yes, it's true, we are going through this process, we are with a request for proposal testing. And I checked with every single company that were participating in this bid if they would need employees, sales rep and distributor reps. And they said, yes, for sure. And they would be glad to take some of our employees. So in this meeting with these around 100 employees, I mentioned that most probably 90% of them would be hired by the future distribution company, and that ended up happening. And 10 of them, 10%, most probably would be promoted because we will be handing over the distribution but increasing the trade market inside. So they would be able to be promoted to a trade rep role. So what I managed to do with that, the last 3 months, they worked extremely motivated because those that wanted to be promoted worked hard. And the others knew that, yes, they would change, but they would not lose their job. So that was my first difficult crisis that I faced. I had others, like I mentioned to you, a war, but I learned 3 things that I will give you now as an advice. Again, my personal advice. As the Chinese say, and there is this expression that I checked in the internet, but some say that it's not true. But the ideogram, the way that they write crisis or challenge, is the same as opportunity. So think about that. Are you looking for the crisis that you are facing today as an opportunity for you to change, to do different? Because sometimes we stay still and that's not good. The second thing or second tip or advice is stay calm, but take a decision. Decide. Yes, you cannot panic because others are looking at you, expecting you, if you are in a leadership position, to give an answer. And the third one, and there is another famous expression from Einstein about insanity, is that it keep doing the same and expecting different results. But in today's world, I would add and change and twist as another crisis that I faced in Sri Lanka, that I learned that even doing the same thing and expecting the same result, it's insanity as well. Because the world is changing so fast that something that worked well yesterday might not work today. So embrace the change, embrace the innovation, embrace the diversity as an opportunity for you to grow. So this is what I would like to give to you today. And again, I'm sharing this knowledge that I acquired through 30 years working in 2 big multinationals. In these more than 16 years working abroad, I lived in 7 different countries, managed 40 different businesses. And if you had an opportunity, like an elevator pitch, to ask something to me, please write down below. I can try to help and share, or you can give me some tips or suggestions regarding what to do different, as someone gave to me to record standing up here and not worry too much of shaving or not. So Feel free to write down below. If you like, please give a thumbs up, a like here. Subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. Share with your friends. And new things are about to come. As I wrote in I mentioned in my first video, I had 2 projects in the beginning of my new life. A new life was to launch this YouTube channel. I have already more than 50 videos here. Please check it out. And to co-write a book. There's a good friend from Sri Lanka, Dr. Asoka Jinadasa. He wrote this book 6 years ago, Flying Penguin, a great self-help book. We're talking about the 6th dimension. And he asked me or invited me to tell some stories, to add some practical examples. So we are launching a 2nd edition in 2 months' time. So stay tuned, because I really recommend it, because it's very easy to read and it can help you. Okay? Thanks a lot. Let's keep in touch and see you next time. Bye.